You know what is strange? Nobody ever questions the plan. You grow up, you go to school, you get a job. You work for 45 years or more. You retire at 70 and then you finally get to enjoy life. That is the script. And I followed it. For 30 years I worked in America. I woke up to an alarm clock at 5:30 every morning, sat in traffic, ate lunch at my desk, counted vacation days like they were gold. I told myself I was building something. Security, stability, a retirement. But one day I started asking a question that would not go away. What if 70 never comes? One day I turned 50 and something shifted. Not physically, but mentally. I started noticing things. Friends developing health problems, knees going bad, back surgeries, high blood pressure, men my age already exhausted. And I realized something uncomfortable. Even if I make it to 70, what version of me is going to show up? Will I still want to travel? Will I still be able to walk miles through a new city? Will I still be strong enough to swim in the ocean? Or will I just be managing medication and doctor's appointments? Nobody guarantees you 70, and even fewer people guarantee you 75 in good health. So why are we all waiting? In America, I was making decent money. Not rich, but comfortable. The problem was not income, the problem was time. 40+ hours a week. Commute. Stress. Bills that matched the paycheck. The higher I climbed, the more expensive life became. Mortgage. Insurance. Car payments. Healthcare. It felt like I was running just to stay in place. And when I ran the numbers honestly, I realized something. If I reduced my expenses by half, I would not need nearly as much income. And that changed everything. I did not wake up one morning and move. I researched. Cost of living. Rent prices. Healthcare. Internet speed. Remote work possibilities. The Philippines kept coming up. English widely spoken. Warm climate. Affordable rent. Lower daily expenses. I could rent a decent place for a fraction of what I was paying in America. Groceries cost less. Utilities cost less. Eating out cost less. I realized something powerful. If my expenses dropped low enough, I would not need to work 40 hours a week. I would need maybe 10, maybe 15. And that idea felt dangerous. Leaving is not romantic. It is terrifying. You question everything. What if it fails? What if I regret it? What if I lose everything? But I kept coming back to one thought. Waiting felt riskier. Staying on autopilot until 70 felt like gambling my only life. So at 50 years old, I sold most of what I owned, packed what mattered, bought a one-way ticket, and told myself I would try. Just try. The first 3 months were uncomfortable. Different culture, different pace, different systems. Things moved slower. Life was not as structured. But something else changed too. I was not rushing. For the first time in decades, I was not watching the clock. I picked up remote work online, consulting, project-based contracts, 10 hours some weeks, 15 others. I made less money than before, but my expenses were dramatically lower. And suddenly, I had time. Time feels different when you are not exhausted. I started walking more, exploring neighborhoods, talking to people, sitting in cafes without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I began noticing sunsets again. That sounds small, but it is not. In America, I saw sunsets through a windshield. Now I watched them from a beach. And I realized something that hit me hard. I had not been living. I had been waiting. Here is what nobody tells you. If you need $80,000 a year to live in America, but only $25,000 somewhere else, you do not need the same job. You need a different equation. Working 10 hours a week online covered my living costs. Not luxury, but comfort. Rent, food, utilities, basic healthcare. And because my lifestyle was simpler, I did not need as much. Less pressure, less stress, less fear, and strangely, more freedom. Was it perfect? No. There are challenges. Infrastructure can be inconsistent. Healthcare is different. You are far from family. It is not a fantasy, but neither was the life I left behind. The difference is this. Now I wake up without dread. I am not counting down to retirement. I am living now. People say waiting until 70 is safe. Is it? Safe from what? If you sacrifice your healthiest decades for a future you might not reach, what exactly are you protecting? Money is important, but time is not renewable. You can earn more money. You cannot earn more youth. That realization changed me forever. At 50, I can still walk miles, still swim, still explore. At 70, I might, or I might not. Nobody guarantees mobility. Nobody guarantees energy. And I did not want my first year of freedom to be limited by my body, so I chose earlier, not recklessly, intentionally. One morning I was sitting outside with coffee, no alarm, no rush, no inbox demanding attention, and I realized something quietly powerful. I am not waiting anymore. I am not postponing happiness. I am not grinding for a future version of myself. I am living in the present, and that felt like being saved. Not financially, existentially. I do not tell people to quit their job tomorrow. I tell them to question the timeline. 70 is not sacred. Retirement is not guaranteed. Health is not permanent. Ask yourself this. If you knew you would only live to 75, would you still wait until 70 to start enjoying life? That question changes people. It changed me. The biggest risk was not moving. The biggest risk was staying. The biggest risk was waking up at 70 with money in the bank and no energy left to use it. I did not want to be wealthy and worn out. I wanted to be present and alive. So I adjusted the math. Lower cost of living, fewer working hours, more life. I did not move to escape work. I moved to reclaim time. I still work. I still earn. But I no longer measure life in retirement years. I measure it in sunsets I actually see. In conversations I am not rushing through. In days that do not feel borrowed from my future. At 50, I stopped waiting for permission to live. And that decision saved me, not from poverty, from postponement. If you are 50, 55, or 60, ask yourself one honest question. Are you living now or waiting for 70? Because none of us know who will still be standing at 75. And that might be the most important truth of all. Before you make any major decision, before you sell anything, before you book a flight, just sit with this question. Not what your coworkers think, not what your family thinks, not what society expects. Just you. If you knew your healthiest years were right now, would you spend them preparing to live later? Or would you adjust something today? I am not telling you to move across the world. I am not saying the Philippines is the answer for everyone. What I am saying is this. Time is the one asset none of us can refinance. You can rebuild savings. You can start a new career. You can downsize. You can change your direction. But you cannot rewind your body to 55 once you are 70. That reality is not depressing. It is clarifying. For me, lowering my cost of living and working 10 hours a week online was not about escaping responsibility. It was about redesigning life around time instead of money. And that shift changed everything. Now I want to ask you something. If you are watching this and you are somewhere between 50 and 70, do you believe waiting is the safest choice? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, we have been taught a timeline that does not fit everyone? Tell me honestly in the comments. If you are comfortable sharing, how old are you? And do you plan to wait until 70 to retire? Or are you already thinking about doing something different? I read these comments carefully. And I know there are a lot of you quietly thinking about a change, but not saying it out loud. Maybe this is your moment to say it. If this story made you think, even a little differently, consider subscribing. Not for hype, not for fantasy, but for honest conversations about money, aging, risk, and what it really means to start living before it is too late. Whatever you decide, make sure it is your decision, not fear, not habit, not autopilot, because 70 is not promised, and neither is perfect health. The only thing you truly control is what you do with the years you have right now. I will see you in the next one.